guys, welcome to my channel. My name is ReadingBear and I hope you are ready for some more stories. And today, we'll take a look at some new I Don't Work Here Lady content. If you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comment. And now, let's dive right into the stories.
The first story is titled How an Abusive Karen Got a Dose of Karma. Many years ago, as I was exploring Walmart looking for good deals on unnecessary necessities, I was confronted by a sweet, nice, gorgeous woman of about 30-ish. Before she approached, I was looking at the car section, looking for a better impact, and some nice floor mats for my truck. As she approached with a cheery, "Yoo-hoo, I need some help," I immediately realized I made a mistake in my wardrobe today. You see, I like to wear vests, and today I was wearing my blue one. Mind you, it was a light blue akin to the blue worn by Walmart employees, but it had sparkly swirls all over it, and tassels. Well, I decided to be nice and help the lady out. It woilt nt hurt to help out, or so I thought. So I said, "Yes. How can I help?" And she said she needed a video game out of the cabinet and could I please get it for her. I then gave a little chuckle and tried to explain I thought she needed help with something heavy or up high or locating something. I don't actually work here and I don't have keys to those cabinets. During my whole explanation, the sweetness in her face slowly got replaced with anger. She then screamed about I am wearing the blue vest and how I do work here and how dare I lie to her face and she is gonna get me fired. The whole time I was trying to calm her down and explain I don't work here, it was just a fancy vest and yeah. She ended up getting fed up with me, telling horrible lies to an innocent woman just trying to get a present for her son, and she, very slowly, raised her open hand and pulled it all the way back. As she started to bring the slap to my face, three thoughts crossed my mind. First, I am about to knock this birch tree's teeth in. Second, I don't remember seeing any cameras in this aisle and most people would take the pretty woman's word over the large odd-dressed man's. Third, fake it, go with the slap. Well, I went with the slap, but a little too much, and my head smashed into a shelf. As I looked up from the floor, through the blood flowing over my face, I heard, "Oh my God," and I saw another woman, who had heard the screams and came over to see what the issue was and saw the whole slap. Then I looked at my attacker, and saw the fear in her eyes. Not shame, not shock, not feeling bad for attacking anyone. All I saw was fear of her consequences in her eyes. She then tried to run. The witness yelled out for her to stop. I then grabbed her ankle and she fell and slammed her face on the floor. I later found out she lost her two front teeth. And I felt really bad for hurting her, but she couldn't get away. Later, after statements and first aid treatment, mine was only a flesh wound. I got to watch my attacker get put into a police car while screaming all kinds of threats and obscenities at me. It was nice. I don't know if she got jail time though. The next story is titled Best Longs Employee Ever. I used to live in a fancy part of California where a lot of celebrities live. It was just a normal, beautiful Halloween day that I was at Long's drugstore. A very tall man suddenly asked me in an effusive British accent, "Excuse me, ma'am, can you please tell me where the glittery nail polish is? My daughter needs it for her costume." I was a little stunned because I was looking at John Cleese from Monty Python, A Fish Called Wanda, and a million other things. I've loved John Cleese ever since I saw Monty Python on TV when I was 10 years old. I said, "Of course," and showed him. He thanked me politely and he went to go pay. Fast forward about 2 months later, I'm at Long's again, and here comes John Cleese heading straight towards me. He recognized me, I assume, as the nice employee who helped him the last time. I can't remember what he was looking for this time, but I led him to the aisle it was on and he, again, thanked me for doing such a good job. I like to imagine that he looked around for me the next time, maybe even asked if the nice blonde girl was working that day. Maybe even rising my status to Employee of the Year. Of course, the plaque would have to be a photo of a question mark because I never once worked at Long's Drugs. The next story is titled Mistaken at a Ross. I was at a Petco buying cat food and there was a Ross next door. I haven't been to a Ross in a long time, so I went inside to look around. I walked straight to the men's shoe section at the back and began looking at the shoes. A few minutes later, a woman came up to me and said, "Where are the kids' shoes?" Her English wasn't very good, so it took me a second to realize what she had said. I responded, "I don't know. This is first Ross I've been to in 4 years." I was very nice and said it in a light-hearted way. She just stared at me intensely for 5 long seconds, then said, Where are the kids' shoes? I furrowed my brow in confusion, and said, I don't know. She stared at me for a few more seconds, then just walked away. I'm glad she asked me about the shoes. Even though I couldn't help her, she reminded me that I have been meaning to buy my son shoes for a few weeks now. I ended up getting him a nice pair for a decent price. On a side note, I followed a lady in who had obviously been hotboxing weed recently. I smelled the weed wafting off her from 20 feet away. I'm not anti-weed, I'll even eat an edible every now and then, but she had a 3 or 4-year-old kid with her, and I later saw her getting into the driver's seat. Some people just don't give a crap. The next story is titled, Salt Your Driveway So My Kids Can Play There. I deliver newspapers as a side job. I feel so bad for the owner of one specific house I deliver to. All the neighborhood parents collectively decided that this guy's driveway is where they'd wait with their kids for the school bus every morning. It shouldn't be an issue, but the parents socialize on the curb, ignoring their children. The kids run rampant on this guy's property, chasing each other around his cars, running across his lawn, playing in his garden and screaming on his front steps at 8 a.m. I'm pretty sure the homeowner isn't okay with this at all, but the parents and kids treat him and his property with major disrespect anyways. This winter, we've had a lot of freezing and thawing, resulting in several inch thick ice almost everywhere, including this dude's driveway. After one particularly rainy day, followed by a freezing night, everyone's driveway looked similar to a skating rink. Just as I got out of my car to deliver the paper, homeowner is coming out of his house, heading towards his car. One of the mothers approaches him, and instantly asks, "Why isn't your driveway salted?" Homeowner responds, "I really don't have time to do that. I'm running late for work. I gotta pick up breakfast on the way." This response isn't good enough for entitled mom, who begins yelling about how her precious kids could get hurt while playing on this guy's property. She calls him selfish and irresponsible, as he explains that clearing his driveway for her kids isn't his job, and that they shouldn't be playing there anyways. He finally gets past entitled mom, into his car and quickly drives away. Entitled mom walks back to the group of parents to complain about the homeowner as I get back in my car. This happened a few months back. The parents still gather in this dude's driveway to let their kids duck with his crap every morning. I feel really bad for that guy. The next story is titled I Work Here and I Can Take the Elevator. This is not exactly a I don't work here lady situation, but I think this fits here. Also, excuse my English as it's not my main language. I am still learning. A little background before I tell you the incidents. I work at a software engineering company in Colombo, Sri Lanka. Recently our HQ moved to a new place. The new place is in the 4th floor of an office building complex. Above our floor there is another software company. In the ground floor there is a supermarket. Other floors are occupied by an agency of an Arabic country. To access top floors people have to 2 elevators and staircases, but we usually use the elevators. But for people who comes to the agency, have to use the staircases. I don't much about the procedures going on there, but first you need to go to the 5th floor and then again to 3rd floor and back again to the 2nd floor. Since elevators are in open, there is a security guard hired by the agency to direct people who are coming for its services to staircases. In the first few days after the new office opening, the security guy asked me where I am going, but eventually he recognized me enough to let me pass without being asked. So, this happened today. When I came to the office in the morning, I saw that the usual security guy is not there. So I just took the elevator to my floor and started working. Around 12 o'clock I again took the elevator to the ground floor to get my lunch from the supermarket. When the elevator door opened, I saw a huge line next to elevator with a middle-aged woman sitting in a chair at the end of it. I guessed she's here to fill in for the usual security guard. As it doesn't matter for me, I passed her and went into the supermarket. Once I brought my lunch, I came back outside to take the elevator. I should also mention here that since my office have no rules for dress codes, I usually wear slippers to the office. But most of my coworkers wear shoes usually. So, I came near the elevator and pressed the button to call the elevator, only to hear, "Excuse me. Where are you thinking you are going?" This took me by surprise. I turned and behold, it's that middle-aged woman. Since this never happened before, I thought maybe she's thinking I am going for the agency, so I said, "Oh, I am going to the 4th floor." To my surprise she said, "You can't take the elevator, you need to take the stairs." Now here I was totally confused. Thinking she didn't heard me before, I told her again, "Actually I work in the 4th floor, at the ABC company, not real." At this time the elevator door also opened, so I decided to go inside the elevator. Suddenly I felt a hand grabbing the backside of my shirt and I got pushed out of the elevator. I turned only to see this middle-aged woman behind me. Before I say something she said, "I told you take the stairs. Elevator is only for the VPIs and office workers." I was dumbfounded. I always use these stairs, and in fact I know anybody working in the two offices can take the elevators without any problem. Also, I just mentioned her that I am an office worker. Before I tried to explain that she asked, "Can I see your letter or your card?" I asked, "What letter? What card?" The woman, now irritated in high pitch, "The letter with the date and number." Now first I thought she's asking for my employee agreement. But then I thought, who carries that around in their pockets? So I said, "If you are asking for my employee agreement, it's in home. Also I don't have a card." The woman, now more irritated, "What are you thinking, boy? You need to bring that. Go home and bring it now. What are you thinking? That you will get special treatments, huh?" Now here I thought that she's still mistaking me for a person going for the agency, so I said in angry, irritated voice, "Listen auntie, I works at ABC company. Which is in the 4th floor. We are allowed to use the elevator. Can you please let me go now?" She then said, "So you work here? Okay, I am sorry. Where is your employee card?" Now even the people in the line are looking at this argument, and this is also making me angry. With my anger, I shouted, "I don't have an employee card. We don't need an employee card. What the heck are you talking about?" The woman, now also angry, said, "Don't you shout at me like that. Let me call your boss." Before I said anything she took her phone. I called somebody. I heard she's telling to the person in the phone that there is an employee without an employee card trying to access the building and shouting at her. When she hung up she had a poo-eating grin in her mouth. She then said, "You are in big trouble, young man. Wait until Mr. comes down. You know the rules. You can't access the building without your employee card. By the way, don't you know the dress code? You need to wear formal clothes." And then she continued to shout at me. With my anger I could have started shouting back at her too, but I decided to wait until the guy she called comes downstairs, since she doesn't understand what I am saying. After maybe 5 minutes the elevator door opened and a tried and angry looking Arabic guy came out. He came near the table, looked at me and asked, "What is the issue?" The woman, pointing at me, told him that I am trying to access the building without any employee card or anything letter, and then she also mentioned that I am not in formal office clothes. The Arabic guy, confused, looked at me and asked, "Are you working at the agency?" I said, "No, I work in the ABC company in the 4th floor." Again confused, he asked, "Wait, so you are working at ABC? Did you told her that?" Before I replied to him the woman jumped in and said, "Yes sir, he told me. But I was informed to check office workers for employee ID cards too." The Arabic guy confused for a second and then he asked, "Wait, who told you that?" Then the woman began to explain that the head security gave her instructions. The Arabic guy, understanding what happened, explained to her that there are 2 other offices in the building and they can access the elevators whenever they want. Then he turned to me and apologies for the inconvenience. I said him it's okay and took the elevator to my floor. I had to take a little break afterwards to calm myself down. The next story is titled Apparently, I'm a Bad GameStop Employee. I work at a second-hand game store, as a volunteer, might I add. Definitely not a GameStop. This happened last week on Friday. My uncle came home, and I had some money saved up. He needed a new cable for one of his controllers. I knew this particular store had PS3 games for pretty cheap, so I take my saved up money and go with him. So we walk in, he goes over to talk to an employee and I go over to the PS3 games. I'm an average-looking teenager, somewhat tall for age, sweatpants and hoodie, old sneakers and short curly hair. I definitely didn't have any type of resemblance to an employee. So I'm kneeling down and browsing the PS3 games, seeing if anything caught my eye or if I had heard of any and wanted them previously. I notice another pair of shoes and hear a nervous, "Excuse me," so I stand up and move over some so the person could browse the shelf too. This is the entrance of Nice Kid, or NK. He looks around my age, and looks really confused. After a few minutes of silence, he nervously asks, "Excuse me, but do you have any recommendations? I recently got a PS3 and am pretty confused." Me, rather excited because I barely ever get to just nerd out with someone. "Depends. What type of thing do you like?" We get into a conversation. I help him pick a few games. All good, right? "Nope. I glance up to find my uncle as I don't see anything else of my interest or that I'd been after. Instead I'm met with some lady, crazy lady or CL, rolling her eyes a few feet from me. CL, are you finally done slacking off? I need some help. Her tone is rather rude and impatient, like I was wasting her time. Depends. What are you looking for? I don't like confrontation, so figure maybe I could help. CL, I want XYZ for XYX system. And make it quick, I don't have a lot of time. Me. I'm sorry, very confused. CL, I want XYX for XYX. She was getting louder, angrier and talking much slower. Me. Oh, I don't work here. CL, clearly you do. You were helping NK. At this point 2 people come over. NK and my uncle. NK rushed over and grabbed CL's hand. Mom, stop. They were just helping to be nice. He sounds annoyed, like this has happened before and also like he feels sympathy for me. My uncle comes over and grabs my hand, lightly pulling me to stand next to him and glaring daggers at this woman. He's very protective of me, as me and my mom have lived with him since I was 2.5. Are you okay, Op? Me. I'm fine, people are just crazy and stupid. I honestly just wanted to get out of there by now, so pay, leave and then get to play my game. CL. Having heard my remark, I'm not stupid, you useless bee. NK. Stepping in front of CL, Mom, stop it. At this point I was scared. I don't do yelling well thanks to some more personal reasons, and so I was somewhat hiding behind my uncle. At this point it seemed like NK wanted to smack CL. CL wanted to kill me and my uncle may just go crazy. He's ex-military and has no patience for stupid people. I just frown, and gently tug on my uncle's arm. Let's just go. We have our things. I said, seeing the cables in his other hand, probably for charging his controller or something. She's still yelling as me and my uncle walk off, leaving NK and CL. We pay, get asked a few questions about it as CL is causing a disturbance and as we aren't at fault get to go. I have no clue what happened to CL. Don't really care, I've truly enjoyed my game, uncle's charger works and nothing bad happened consequence-wise. The next story is titled Old Guy in the Store That Sells Staples Demands Mask. Hi all, this just happened yesterday, and it's relatively minor compared to most in this sub, but it gave me a chuckle for several reasons. For context, I was in a major American stationery store that sells staples yesterday afternoon, clearly using a fax copy machine. My wallet is one hand, my papers are in the other, and I'm wearing an obvious cannabis brand shirt in the wrong color, and pot leaves over it. The copy area is behind a half wall to the right of the doors when you come in. So I'm doing my thing, in the zone, clearly not paying attention around me when I hear someone clearing their throat loudly several times. I ignore it, and I hear an excuse me and ignore that as I don't work there. The old guy, or OG, steps into my field of vision on the other side of the wall, makes eye contact, and says even more loudly. Excuse me. Me, clearly confused, are you talking to me? OG. Yeah, finally. Do you have an extra mask? Me. No sir, I don't work here, and I pointed to my weed shirt. OG. I need a mask. Do you have an extra? Now, I'm wearing a cloth mask with a kitty face on it. Not a disposable one, and as I wasn't an employee, I'm not sure why he thought I would have any extra to give him one. Me. No sir, and even if I did, I'm a customer, not an employee. OG. So you don't have an extra mask? Me. No, sir. I don't work here. OG gets all huffy, throws up his hands, and pushes his carry out of the store that sells staples. Now, this guy clearly had some money. Really decent clothes, well-groomed, etc. We all forget our masks, but just expecting a random store clerk to have one for you, let alone a stranger in a store to provide one for you, that's entitled. Like they were selling then, he could have asked someone to buy it for him. I would have if he had given me money to do so. But to just demand it? Those were my thoughts as I saw him shuffle out the store, but here's the kicker, he comes back in, less than 2 minutes later with a disposable mask. He had some with him in his car, and didn't want to go back to get it, so he just demanded one from me. What is up with people? Yes, I always carry extra masks because I'm high risk and take responsibility for myself. Please take responsibility for yourself and get your own damn mask from you, Carlol. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to the channel and post some bear emojis in the comments.